Welcome to another Lifeboat Sessions. In Lifeboat Sessions, we share stories from crew members that, despite all challenges, have demonstrated and succeeded on their careers, while balancing their personal life and providing an example for all of us that even though it sometimes feels difficult, it is not impossible. Today we have the story about Andres. He is from Mexico. He started as a photographer in NCL and grew his career all the way to be a bike escort on a Samara, one of the newest and most exciting positions they have. And not even that, he also got married on board. So let's say hi to Andres. Cool. So Andres, how did you start working on cruises? Like, how does that get into your mind?
It was everything. Everything was a coincidence, basically. I just finished university back in 2009, December, and then I started 2010, not knowing what I wanted to do because I studied visual arts in Cuernavaca in la UAM,
Uh-huh.
and I specialized in photography.
Okay.
So I had this background, but there was nothing really that I was like, oh, I really have to do this. So I was doing freelance for a couple of months, and then I said I need to do something else. So I searched for this master to study in Spain, but I needed money to do it. So I needed 6,000 euros, and I was like, well, I don't have that money. So how can I get that money? And everything happened, I think, in a week. Then I found this master, and I needed money. And at the same time, I wanted to travel. So I said, okay, going to Spain is going to be the best way. And then looking for a job online, I found this advertisement that said, do you want to be a photographer working on board, luxurious cruise line, contact us, blah, blah, blah. It sounded like this fake advertisement.
Scam.
And I said, yeah, why not? Yeah. So I was, sure, I'll call. So I called, it was an office in Cancun. And they said, yeah, send your resume and we get in touch with you. But to be honest, I did it without knowing anything. I had no idea what a cruise ship was. I didn't know about any company. I didn't know. I had no idea, nothing.
Wow.
So I had the interview and my English was very poor. And then I said, okay, your English is enough. Like, you're not gonna really be talking too much, just take photos. So yeah, why not? We'll get you an interview with the company, NCL, Norwegian Cruise Line.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had my Skype interview a week later, and they said, okay, we'll get in touch in a couple of months. And a week later, I received, oh yes, we want to hire you. Can you come on board in 3 weeks or something? And
Wow,
I said, what?
it was pretty.
Yeah, so everything's super fast. So in 1 month, I went from not knowing what I wanted to do with this degree that I had to being on board the Norwegian Pearl.
Wow.
So everything went so fast, and I actually didn't stop to think about why I wanted to work on cruise ships.
So it was just the option in that moment, and you went for it on blank.
Yes, I just went for it. I was sure, let's go.
Great. So you started as a photo on NCL, right? So
Correct.
how was your experience like? So you didn't know anything about cruise ships. You didn't know how was the life on board.
Nothing.
How was that those first months?
Oh, they were tough. They were very tough because first of all, I learned English when I was 21, so I didn't know any word until I turned 21, and I went to study to United States.
Okay.
And I did 1 semester over there. So my English knowledge was based from watching American series, TV series, with what I learned in this semester. So it was just very basic and only American English. So when I come on board and I had to work with this British lady from Manchester and this girl from Australia and this guy from Philippines and this guy from Indonesia, and it was just a mix of everything, just one small group. It was tough just to realize, to understand what they were saying,
Of
And
course.
then of course, as you know, when you come on board, you have to face all these trainings, and then also from somebody from Ireland, and the English is so difficult, and it was tough. I would say the first month was very tough to learn. First of all, why I was living in such a small space, why everybody was saying everything around. I understood half what they were saying. And learning, yeah, everything you had to learn about safety and security on board, plus my job, plus working every single day, plus it was tiring.
It
The
was
first
tough.
month is tough.
It was
For
tough.
every position, not only photographer. Photographer, we were lucky that we had to work the first hours in the gangway in the morning once the ship docked, and then you have free time. Compared to other positions, I still enjoy being a photographer because I could enjoy being outside, and I was doing the
But
Caribbean season, so I could go to the beach. But then at night again, working all day, and yeah, it's difficult.
well, I think it was difficult. It was not working in the galley, but every position is difficult when you got on board. Like first time, and you don't know anything, it just gets messy.
Yes.
So I know that you started as a photo. Then it was your first time. Everything was a mess, but you reached higher, so you went for crew staff then, right?
Yes, NCL has this position still called crew staff. Other companies call different. And when I was doing a photographer position, at night they set up these studios, and then you are standing there basically asking people to come and have a photo shoot, let's say. Um, Kind of sales, but yeah, not really. So I will do it, and I was always making fun with the guests. So I was having fun with them, joking around, and yeah, I was very much shameless. So people started noticing me. Let's say the crew, the hotel director, the cruise director, the other crew staff. And there was a point when I decided, maybe photographer. Because also I studied art photography. So for me, doing this kind of photography on board was not my thing. It was really not what I wanted to do. Um, so there was not much left for me, to be honest, to be there. So
Right.
after before I finished my contract, I spoke to the cruise director and I said, hey, I see that there is this position called crew staff, and I would like to have a chance if there is an audition that I can do or something. He was very nice, so he said, oh yeah, sure, we can arrange that. And and yeah, we did it. And then I think part of my audition, I don't know if you remember this dancing with the officers.
Oh yes, I
That
used
was
to do it. I used to do it.
You
I
used
was
to do
pretty
it.
good. Yes, I was pretty
Yeah, well, yeah. Celebrity
good.
was yeah. So NCL have their own version, and it's even funnier than Celebrity.
Yeah,
What I think.
celebrity was
Yeah, it was quite
just like
vanilla.
insane.
No, I went to so I did this dancing with the officers, and I was photographer, so I was wearing my parrot and dolphin, and every week it was something different, and I was wearing, and song by song I would just remove it and just going crazy. So the
Uh-huh.
guy was like, "Yeah, I think you have the chance to be a crew staff." So before I finished that contract, they said, "Okay, we want to have you next contract coming on board as crew staff."
What I want to understand, because I think a lot of people they get lost in here. So you finish your first contract as a
Yes.
photographer, and
Yes.
then your second contract you join as a crew staff.
Yes.
Okay, but you had to finish your first contract like entirely.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because the thing is, most of the companies they do this. Like you have to finish your first contract in the position that you apply for, and then your second
Mm-hmm.
contract you can request to change, or if someone is interested in changing to another department, you can do it, but until the second. Like
Yeah. Well, NCL owns their own photo department, so for me it was easy transition to go into crew staff.
that's great.
Uh, but I did finish my contract first as photographer. I went home and I called my manager to Miami and I said, "Hey, I had this meeting with the cruise director. He said, he will give me the chance." And he said, "Okay, yeah, we will miss you, but good luck." So
Okay.
it was very easy for me. But I
Great.
know, for instance, Celebrity or Azamara or Royal Caribbean is a little more complicated to change departments, or it takes longer, let's say.
Yeah, it's more protocolized. They have a lot of paperwork to fill up.
Yeah.
But so then, let's go back to your story. So you're already crew staff. How was that transition for you? Like, because it's different.
It was hilarious. Now that I think about it, it was hilarious. As I said, my English was very bad, and then my first contract, my team was full of people who spoke even less English than me. So it's not like my English improved in my first contract. It was still very bad. Mispronunciation. Even now it's very bad. So I was mispronouncing everything. And then, as one of the main activities as to be a crew staff is to do the trivia.
The trivia.
Trivia is a big thing on board cruise ships. So a lot of people come over. You just make the questions and they answer in teams and blah blah blah. People go crazy about it. But there is Andres. Let's say saying I don't know ha I'm looking for an example how to say, but just a word and everybody will be like, what, huh?
What is he saying?
Yeah. So obviously you're in the microphone in front of 50 people and drunk 50 people, then you don't know. It was I was terrifying in the first nights I had to do an activity alone. But then lucky me, there was a colleague who was from Australia, so English is their main language, and she helped me. I had to sit with her, and she was like, okay, you pronounce it this way, and just making the extra effort to improve in your language skills and your personality, because as a crew staff you really have to be like high energy every single day, all day long. And yeah, it was tough again to get used to this. Again, compared to other positions, it's an easy position, I might say. But for me, it was also getting used to this new idea of
entertaining people.
Entertaining people, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I was having a conversation with someone from ships, and we were saying like, do you really realize that most people join on board because they want to improve their English, but at the end everything comes like disaster, bumbleclad. You actually don't.
Babalu. Basura.
Yeah, you're not improving your English. You're just learning the cheap English, right?
you learned cheap English, yes. that's what happened. But I might say though, yeah. In some positions, yes, it happens. And even if you get a very good level, once you go on board, and depends on the position you're working on or your team, your English can go like this or can go like that. But it's a way of yourself. You have to improve. If you really, I realized that if my English wasn't good enough, I was not going to get the position as crew staff, because you have to be hosting events. So your English has to be very good.
Exactly.
So I had to learn how to speak slower, enunciate every single word, and of course I'm Mexican, so I go very fast every time. But I had to really learn that and got to the point where I said, okay, the joke I made, it was not funny. I have to do this. So it's just a constant improvement, and you have to as you say, reach higher, to go in a higher position, or it's
exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a constant work.
Yeah, just put your mind into that. You have to improve, and if you already have the opportunity, like, just try to be better every day, I think.
Yes.
So you started as crew staff, and everything happened, and you continued your career with NCL, right? So you went for the next position and the next position.
Yes.
How was that?
Oh, again, tough. So every new thing was tough. Why? Because I did 2 contracts as crew staff, and then at the end of my second contract, I was told that I could be a good activity manager or assistant cruise director, depends of the company. And I said, really? Okay, yeah, sure, so I took a little training to become one, and then I went home on holidays. And in the middle of my holidays, I received the email that there was a vacancy for an assistant cruise director for 6 weeks in a complete different itinerary than I was supposed to go, and different ship. And I would be perfect, and it was only 6 weeks, not a problem. And I said, okay, yeah, I'll take it. But that was my first experience as manager. And if you ever been a manager, it's difficult. Managing people is complete. is completely different. And
it's another story. Yes.
it's another story. It's very difficult. But of course, if they offer to you, you never say no. You take it and then you learn. So
Exactly.
that's what I did, and I took it. And I might say I was 24, and I was managing a team of 35 plus people,
In entertainment.
years old. So I was the youngest in the team, and I had to manage a huge team. It was not easy, but I went for it. And lucky me, I had a cruise director who was very helpful. He really stand behind my back and really supported me, and we made a very good connection. So yeah, I did that position for 1 year because it was supposed to be 6 weeks. They extended to 3 months, and then after 3 months they said, no, we want you again. You're going to be transferred to another ship with the same position. So I went for that position, and then I went to home, and they promised me I was going to do Scandinavia, and I really wanted. So I said, okay, please, doesn't matter if I go as a crew staff again, but send me to Russia. I want to see Russia. And they said, hey, guess what? The assistant cruise director is not coming back at the moment, so you go to Russia as assistant cruise director.
Wow.
Which it was great at the beginning. I said, yeah, okay, perfect. What I didn't realize is that, did you do the Scandinavia season?
Yes, St. Petersburg and
Yeah, so
Fjords, I
the
think.
days are very long. So as entertainment, you have, mostly in my position, I had to stay on board for very long activities all day. And to be honest, the 3 months that I did that, and it was like 4 weeks I did it, I did not see anything of Russia, and I hated it. So once the assistant cruise director then was primarily coming on that ship, got her clearance, I said, please leave me here again as a crew staff. I really want to see Russia. So at the end, they kept me. I stepped down. I went back to crew staff because I put my personal reasons before a promotion, and and I don't regret at all because I could enjoy at the fullest the Scandinavia season. So
And
that was a little bit step back.
that's
But
great. That's great that you say that, because a lot of people that doesn't realize that when you have, like, we always looking for the next position, the next position, the next position. But once you are in like a position with responsibilities, like a manager or like a sous chef or like this kind of positions, you have less time to spend outside because now you have to be in charge on board.
yeah, it's like they say, you know, the bigger the cabin, the less time you are in your cabin. Yeah, it's the same.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, as you said, you mentioned earlier that some people go on board because they want to improve their English. That's great. Whatever reason you go on board, you have to own it. And if you're doing it for the money, great. Do it for the money. Go for the higher position. If you do it for traveling, enjoy travel. But then you're gonna stay staff because once you go into manager, then you're stuck on board. And yeah, in this case, I decided I wanted to see every port, Scandinavia, Stockholm, Russia, Helsinki, Iceland, and as a manager, I could not see any of those. So
No.
yeah, I'm happy with my decision. I don't regret. Well, that contract was very interesting because so I started as an assistant cruise director, and then I went back to cruise staff, and then that's when I started thinking, okay, how long do I want to stay on board? Because NCL at that time was not doing many more itineraries. There was nothing new, to be honest. So I said, okay, how long do I want to continue doing this? Because there's no more I can see. I was lucky enough that I did Alaska, Panama Canal, Caribbean, Mediterranean, Scandinavia. So for me, traveling with NCL was no longer an option.
Okay.
And I still wanted to see the world. So I said, at some point I had to go back on land. So I need to get experience in something. So for me it was sales. And that's why I spoke to the shorex manager on board to see if I could have a chance into shorex. So she arranged for me to have a meeting over the phone with a person in Miami, and she said, yes, perfect, why not? And again, it was a coincidence that on my last my last cruise, it was a 2-week cruise, they fired somebody from shorex, so there was a position open, and and they're not going to get a replacement. So they said, Andres, you have the chance. So do you want to finish your contract now and stay another cruise as a shorex? And then, because we need somebody. And I said, okay, why not? So I stayed on board for 2 more weeks as shorex. So in that contract, I did 3 positions, and it was very strange because I started like assistant cruise director quite high, and then I went to cruise staff, which is yeah, same. You are all everywhere, and suddenly they see me like selling tours and then going on tours, and I was like, it was very strange.
So then what happened next? Or like if you had something to tell our viewers about like how to, because what I see here is that you put your personal like life
Yes.
before your like job, because you were
Yes.
looking for traveling, you were looking for improving your English, you were looking for opportunities to go and see outside. So you always put yourself first. And that's something that doesn't happen really often. Like most of us, like for example, in my case, I always put my job first and I forgot about myself. So I was doing like 10 months contracts, 11-month contract, 3 weeks vacations, right?
Oh,
I was enjoying it, but I was worn off. Like at the end, like my last
yeah.
contract, I was like just worn off. So I had to take a break. And that what happens to a lot of people. They get worn off because they're always looking to compete. They're always looking to be better because they want the next position, and it gets tough. So what would be your like advice?
Oh, you really, as I said, you need to keep your priorities straight and say, I really want to be on board for this reason, and just follow that reason. Um, what happened to me is that they lure me with money because they said from photographer to crew staff, it was a big difference in salary,
Mhm.
and I said, of course I'm gonna do it. And then yeah, so the master that I was supposed to do in Spain never happened because every contract I got something new to do on board, and it was great. It was, I loved it, but then now I'm like, okay, now I have a degree that doesn't really help me much, and I don't have a master or things. So you really have to put your straight up your priorities and say, I really have to go for it. Once you're on board, just enjoy the ride. If you really want to have the chance, of course, I'm not saying if they offer you the manager position, don't take it. Of course, take it. It's a great experience. It looks great on your resume. Um, but don't forget to the reason why you first came on board for. I might say though, if it is your first time contract, you really don't know how's the ship life. You have no idea. You might hear rumors. You might see in this video and think, ah, yeah, I guess I have an idea. Or if you see Below Deck, this TV show on Netflix now,
Netflix. Yes.
yeah, it's nothing like that. Cruise ship is
Mhm.
completely different. And once you're on board, you realize that, oh my God, there is this position and I will be perfect for instead of this one. Because I know also in a lot of Mexicans, for instance, they only get offered the position to be in the galley or to be housekeeping or
Mhm.
to be casino dealers. I don't know. And once you are on board, you're like, wait, there are way many other opportunities I can do as well.
Mhm.
And then, for instance, it will help you. It will make your life easier and happier because then you will find a position that you're perfect for it. Then just go for it. And yeah, as we said, celebrity, for instance, Royal Caribbean, is more difficult to change positions, but once you do it, it pays off.
There.
It's very nice.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
Great. So, okay, so we met in Celebrity, like you and I, in
yeah,
Celebrity Century. So how was that change from NCL to Celebrity?
yeah.
Very different companies.
Very different companies, definitely. Yeah, I changed again because, as I said, NCL didn't have any more itineraries back then than I really was willing to do. And then it was also a difficult thing because I wanted to stay in shorex again to gain experience in sales, and they wouldn't allow me to change full time to shorex. So they wanted me to come back next contract as
Crew
crew
staff.
staff, and that was already not in my plans. So I said, okay, perfect. So I went back home and I contact a company in Cancun, and I said, hey, it's me again. Can you guys get me an interview somewhere else? Shorex. So they got me the interview with a celebrity, uh, and uh, and then again in 3 weeks or so, I was already packing up again my stuff
Mhm.
and go on board Celebrity Eclipse in the Caribbean as Shorex.
How was the transition? Was it different or? the same or?
Yeah, it was completely different because of the companies. I already had experience, I mean, certain experience with shorex, and I knew how NCL shorex worked, and I was very used to it, and also the kind of clientele, the kind of guests that you get on board NCL. And then I go to celebrity, and now I can say it. I say it to everyone. I hated the company from day one. I say though, that was my first time in Celebrity Eclipse when I felt that. I did a second contract in Celebrity Eclipse, and already the vibe and the management was different. So it might be full of the management at the time, probably.
Yeah, and that's what happens sometimes. Like when you're not in a management position, and you get these managers who are not as supportive. Because I don't, what time was that? 2000, because we met that time.
Wait,
2013,
2014.
14.
Yeah, 14.
So leadership was a bit different. And I think what you have to do is like think that management, they just turn around like faster than us. So you will have 2-3 managers in the same contract. It gets easier sometimes.
Yeah.
But I know what to say. So how long do you stay in celebrity for?
Well, yeah, it's hard to tell because I also had several pauses in between. So I did my first contract for 7 months, I think. And then I did, and then I met my now wife there. So I met Sane there. Carlos knows Sane, my wife.
I want to go to that.
Belgium, that's why I live in Belgium. Yeah. So I did 7 months, and then I took 2 months holidays, and then I did another contract where I met you for 6 months, and then I did 6 months pause, and then I did 7 months, and then I did 6 months again pause. So it was complicated. It was a love-hate relationship with that company.
I know, been there. So I want to go to the point. So you met your wife now.
Yeah.
Right now there. So I have my community, and every time the same question comes, like, how did you make it work?
Yeah, there are not many. Actually, no, there are a lot of couples that make it. No, actually, no, not that many make it. How did we make it work? It was destiny, I guess, because how did we meet? We met on the Celebrity Eclipse, and then we were together for immediately first cruise. My first cruise, her first cruise, and we got together. And then you know how it works on board. After 1 week on board is like 1 month on land, so it goes fast.
Exactly.
And 3 months later, she was transferred to another ship. And a week later, they tell me, you are going to get transferred to that ship. And then, again, it's one of those things that I was like, I'm going to, but also I had previous relationships on board in NCL as well that didn't work. They didn't work out because she was from a different country or because our schedules didn't match or anything. So I knew that can happen. That's why at that point, I was not looking for anything. She was not looking for anything, just to have fun. And then we said, okay, I'm going to go to this ship. She's going to go now. Sorry, she was there. I was supposed to go. And then I said, what if it doesn't work? Why should I look for it? So I requested to stay on that ship because I was going to go to Iceland overnight and Norway and again, these great places. And I said, sorry, Sana, but I'm going to stay on board here. And but we continued the communication via emails. And then once we received both our next contract, it was the Celebrity Century. So it was meant to be like, okay, we're gonna be together there. So should we just continue being together now? So yeah, we don't have a date when we started dating, but we counted from the first day we met because since then we were just like by coincidence going to the same direction, and that's how we ended up in Celebrity Century together. And then Celebrity had this option, great option of couples. Basically, you get married on board. You go in front of the HR and the HR tells you how long you've been together, and then okay, sign here, and it's like you get married on board by the HR. You have to sign a paper and say you're in a relationship, and then allow you to live together. So that's what we did, and that's how we left together. We lived together on board the Century, and that's how we made it happen, basically.
Wow. And so I know you also got married, like married on board, right?
Yes. Yeah. So we finished that contract, and then we took a 6-month pause to backpack in Asia, and then we said, okay, what are we doing next? And the option was either move to Mexico or move to Belgium, and we decided, well, Belgium will be the option, but being Mexican, you cannot stay longer than 3 months in Europe. So I tried to come here for 3 months and find a job, and I couldn't. So I went back on board, and then we really missed each other so much. Then we said, okay, the only option what is the only option? Let's get married. And it was very, I might say, it started like a very practical idea of let's just get married for the sake of it. And it turned into a very romantic way to do it, because then we did it on the beach in Cozumel. When the ship arrived, she came to visit me. By then, I was already transferred from a celebrity to Azamara. Okay. It's another company. That's the high-class company from Royal Caribbean. So she came on board, and then the first port was Cozumel. We got off. We went to the beach. We got married. My family was there. Came back on board, and I went to the desk to work.
Wow.
we really did it for practical reasons, and then it became very romantic somehow. And now we've been together for since 2014. 6 years.
6 years now.
Yeah.
That's great. That's an amazing story. Like, I went, got married, come back to work.
Yeah. It was actually very funny. We were completely drunk with tequila and everything. And being Belgian, she couldn't handle it, so she was completely smashed in the cabin, the stateroom, because they allow us to stay in a passenger's stateroom. And and I was a little bit like, working at the desk, recently married.
After Cozumel, that happens.
Yeah.
All right, so I really appreciate your time, and I don't know if there is something that you would like to share before we end this conversation with our followers. That'd be great.
I don't know what I can share. I don't know if I'm the right person to give advice, but just enjoy. I mean, to be honest, now I'm almost 33, and I was talking to a colleague of mine now in my work in Belgium. She's 24, and I said, why don't you try cruise ships? And I was telling her my stories, and she was like, wow, it sounds amazing. And I was like, yeah, honestly, I don't know. If I would back again 10 years, I would do it all over again, because I really enjoy my time on board. Of course, there is an up and downs. Now when I look back, everything was up, everything was great, because I was lucky enough that I had good managers, good teams that supported me, and great friends. Although I might say that with friendships on board, you remember that at some point your friends will disappear. I mean, out of all the people you meet on board, I count friends with the fingers in my hand. But you enjoy, you really enjoy. I totally recommend everyone, if you have the chance to do one contract at least, just do it, because it's so much fun, and also you save a lot of money, and it's an important thing. You really have to save money.
Yes.
My thing, I was making very little money as photographer, and my thing was I had to spend on board only this amount. And if by the middle of the month I don't have any money anymore, poor me, no more coronas in the crew bar. But you really have to make a plan, a savings plan, and don't just go out every port and have lunch, because every port is so expensive that at the end, when you count, you spend so much money in lunches instead of actually enjoying your time going and explore the port and saving money. So that's a big important thing, because don't forget that, well, Mexico, for instance, doesn't have this. I don't know now, but I don't think they have this unemployment money
No,
than
there's not.
a lot of countries do. So somehow you really have to. You're not creating any pension money as well. You don't work for a company that will give you a retirement money. So just really save, because that's you invest so much energy and time. Then later in the years it will cost you a lot. Trust me. And if you have to retire later soon, it's better that you have a lot of savings. Otherwise, you're gonna have a rough time.
That's a great advice. I wish someone told me that before I joined cruises.
Well, yeah, it will go. If you go on board one day, then now you know you have to
Now I
save
know.
money. Yeah, yeah.